Alright, we are finally at the semifinals. I almost feel like I need to do another introduction because it's been like 45 minutes since the last round was played. Let's go ahead and jump into this. It's going to be on the Bermuda Locket, which is not something you see very often in multiplayer games. This is going to be North versus South, I'm assuming, split right across the center. Let's see who the teams are, and then we'll get into it. To Chief Jaguar is SERAPHIM going first land, SERAPHIM for Keyser going first land, SERAPHIM for Unicorn Noob going first land. Come to think of it, looking across the scoreboard, this is literally 100% SERAPHIM. Screw this game, there are no good factions here. Why? Probably because it is mostly composed of water, and yeah, Hover Artie is a beast. Eco Noob, first land. Farms, first lands. And Blast Chilled, first lands. There is definitely a pattern going on here. Now, the build order should diverge a little bit because this map does not have a Hydro. All of the starting positions have a slightly different number and placement of mechs. So, well, I don't know. It's rotated a little bit, but they all have 3 at the starting position. Anyway, we'll get to see a little bit of a variety in builds. Blast Chilled is going immediately for 6 P-Gens, 7 P-Gens, then the Air Factory for second air. Same dealio for farms, although there is a third land factory planned with adjacency for Blast Chilled. There's your difference, Eco Noob spawning a whole bunch of P-Gens. Looks like he's going for an eco build. We got a second land factory, and he is going to, I am sure, use all that extra power along with the manual reclaim that he is queuing up to get some T2 mass extractors online as quickly as possible. Chief Jaguar ringing himself in with power generators, may not necessarily be building air right away, but he is getting extra power up to make use of that reclaim like we discussed just a moment ago. Keyser going for the second air factory with 8 P-Gens before. 7 is how many you need to run the air factory without stalling. 8 will get you that little bit of extra power to start using some of that mass. He's walking his ACU into the water, which means he's probably going to drop a naval factory immediately and assist it with his ACU. Keep his ACU out of harm's way. Build some frigates. It's a win-win all the way around. Unicorn Noob is going 3 land factories at the start in order to secure all of this over here, because he's got to get his expansion locked down. He's already got engineers over there on manual reclaim order / building some mass extractors, and he's probably going to build many a land factory to come. There is not going to be quite as much mass as there is available in ladder games, of course, because typically you have all of this reclaimed to yourself. One person uses it, one person gets tons of stuff out of it. You end up with 100 plus economy in the very early portions of the game. But it should still scale extremely quickly due to the amount of reclaim that there is. You can see they're spamming up power like there is no tomorrow. We've already got 2 T2 mass extractor upgrades on the way for farms. We have got not a single T2 mechs plan for Blast Chilled, who appears to be delaying his reclaim slightly in favor of getting out some early units to try and take this. Understandable for sure. And then we've almost got a complete T2 mass extractor upgrade here, along with a second one. A Chief Jaguar, I would assume, is doing the same. Yes, almost T2s, 2 T2s, and then we've got a single one upgrading for Keyser, who, as predicted, does have a naval factory down and is building a second one. You can see that he is not a moment too soon, as there is already a steady stream of Zooies proceeding across the map. This is exactly what you want to prevent with those frigates. If I were these guys, I would have put at least 1 Aeon on each team so we could build some hover tanks and trump those artillery. But as things stand, the Artie is going to have to be countered by frigates and or bombers or gunships. And we'll see how it goes. See if these guys can lock everything down effectively. ACU to the front for Eco Noob, making sure that he gets that expansion with no doubt about it. It does look like there's a little bit more of a casual build going on over here. Unicorn Noob using his ACU more for build power on the backlines than aggressive stancing. But he is also getting some naval factories up. That should help him secure this over here against any intrusions from the south or from the west. And then he is doing a pretty dang good job of locking down the south side with tanks and artillery. This is where things get dicey because the artillery can reach up to fire over the cliff and hit those mass extractors. You're not going to be able to keep the eco on the narrow necks unless you secure the water, and therein lies the problem. First frigate is out. Keyser already 4 naval factories deep with a 5th planned. He is definitely going for a strong naval presence here. On this side, we have 3. We've got 4 naval factories planned over there, and at least 1 right here that we have for right now. Okay, then. What about air? We've got 3 air factories with room for a 4th. So that's 3, 4, 5 for the north team. And then we have got 1, 2 for the south team. So it would appear, just looking at it, surface glance, that the north side is going to be vastly superior in air power. And that might spell a little bit of a problem for the south side, but it remains to be seen how much of a problem that will be. This is some seriously aggressive Zooey spam that's out here in the bay, but there is going to be enough frigates, I think, to deny that quite easily. So, now we get to find out, are these guys going to eco or are they going to rush? Because this almost looks like an ecoing slot right here, at least from what I can see. Tons and tons of upgrades. We've got T2 on the ACU instead of on the air factory, which may or may not mean we will get to see an aggressive commander stance. Because usually when the T2 comes that early, you're looking to stick that commander someplace where it might not be particularly safe. We got a frigate up on this side. It is going to meet with another frigate, decide to target the build power. Yeah, he's going to be doomed. On the south side, we do have a couple of artillery coming around the back edge, and that is going to sneak right up in here and might even score a kill on the T2 mass extractor that was supposed to be safe. It's in the rear. Why shouldn't it be safe? Well, because we've got an access point at the rear of the map. Another thing that might be useful would be Cybern on this map, because you can build Salems on the outside of the ring and then walk them across if need be. You don't get forced out of Navy as easily. Most of the time, especially if you have a cruiser such as UEF or SERAPHIM, which all of these guys do, of course, that can launch missiles, it might be beneficial to put a T2 naval factory, at least a support factory on the outside. Get a couple of cruisers up, you can deny some air, you can wreak some havoc, things will be good for you. A Chief Jaguar streaming Zooies out under the cover of Keezer's frigates. And those frigates are tearing a new one in the opposing forces, and then the artillery is trying to follow up and destroy some eco, succeeded in killing a mass extractor there, but we now got 3 more frigates from the south side, a 4th on the way, that are going to come in and try to cut off the flow of artillery. Artillery fighting valiantly against the frigates in the bay already. But again, there are more naval factories on this side. So from everything that I've seen, the north side is just being much more aggressive about how they're approaching this map. We have got a T2 naval factory, for crying out loud. Keezer came into this a man with a plan, and he is enacting it. Build just enough frigates to keep a Chief Jaguar's artillery safe, and he is going to pop out a destroyer, and that is going to spell certain doom for units that are in the center. There's just not enough naval build power on the south side. No engineers entering the water. Got a measly amount of factories. I don't know how they are going to pull this one off. Also, we're not seeing a whole lot of land push over here. There are enough units here to make a difference. Blast Shield does have the gun upgrade, so I would imagine that at some point he is going to push in here and try to take over, but I am not sure entirely whether or not that will be successful. That is an interesting upgrade path. Farms is getting the tactical missile upgrade on his T2 ACU, which will build TAC missiles at a furious pace. That is going to be a real problem for the north side team if he can get that ACU out into the water and able to attack all of these bases. Working on the north side's favor, though, is the fact that they have effectively secured naval control. So if that ACU gets too far out, 1, he could get air sniped, which is always a danger, and 2, he could die to Navy, which is a danger now since they are behind in that production. So maybe he'll get in a drop, move over here somewhere, start tacking the bases. I'm not sure what lies in store, but we will keep a close eye on it as he very nearly has that upgrade. Unicorn Noob asking for power. He is getting an upgrade. What is he getting? The T2 or the gun? I think he's getting the gun. Nope, that is T2. That is on the right hand looking at the front. We'll make sure once he gets it done. Tactical missile is complete. Let's check out the range on that thing. Not as impressive as one would hope, but definitely enough to get things done. Farm's leading in economy, as he very well should be, with as little production as he has had. And second place belongs to EcoNoob. So actually the south side is doing exceptionally well at pulling in mass. Most of the rest of the guys on this map are in the 40s range and have varying degrees of attack units on the map. Looks like Farms is going to venture into the water, and quite deeply into it indeed. He is going to rely on his teammates to save his butt should something come after it. And at the moment it does appear that the Zooey and frigate spam is increasing for Blast Chilled, and the bay is secure over here next to EcoNoob. Now whether it will stay that way is an entirely different matter. We've got some T2 hover coming online to assist the Navy, which is not going to work particularly well against a destroyer with beam weapons. Not going to turn out well at all. Now on the right hand side there is another T2 naval factory in the water, so things are going to continue to get sketchier and sketchier. Now whether or not this is worth tac missiles is a whole nother question. I think 6,000 per tac, that would take 3 tacs to kill. I think the naval factory is probably a bad investment for tac missiles, but it does look like there is going to be enough right here to get in here, get that T2 maybe before the destroyer comes out. The HQ might go down. If nothing else, they can kill all the build power, shut down all of that stuff that's going on, and then kill the destroyer after the fact. On the left side, we have the opposing push happening. Keezer and a Chief Jaguar teaming up to knock out all the build power on this side of the map. They've cleared out the opposing Navy. They've mostly decimated the troops. And now EcoNoob is going to be in for a world of hurt. He's got 73 mass per tick and nothing much to do with it, because he's going to just be missing his tools. Can't build a dang thing. ACU running back. He's got the T2 on that commander as well. And then a Chief Jaguar is getting another upgrade. That is going to be the T2. He's got T2 and gun. A dangerous son of a gun if ever there was one. Pack missiles are launching. Those are going to start eating their way into the base. There's not any T2 build power in the rear, and that is going to pose a major problem for Keezer, because he is going to lose those T2 mexes and there's nothing he can do about it. Keezer calling out TMD. Build the freaking TMD. A Chief Jaguar has got one in his base already, and it would appear that there's not a T2 over here either in order to protect those mexes. Looks like we got a attack missile headed there. Nothing in the back building as far as T2 goes. There is a TMD here, which means yes, there is a T2 engineer. I would be sending that back to the main base. ASAP, gunships on Blast Chilled's commander, helping push that back, get a little health down on that ACU. Unicorn Noob did get the T2 upgrade. T2 comm versus gun comm. If the T2 comm is relatively well established, given the same amount of units, I'd say it's a fair fight. He is going to get up into range. Back off a little. Gunships get shot down. Blast Chilled's ready to push back in. Unicorn Noob is going to have 2,000 more health. Blast Chilled, of course, double the damage. So in the end, he's going to have to do some fortification. And you got to watch your terrain when you're doing that, because there's lots of hills and things to collide with for the SERAPHIM weaponry, especially. Since it is a beam weapon, it doesn't arc up at all. And that means it can collide with the terrain. That is going to happen here. Speaking of which, there's a perfect missile into a rock. A beautiful waste. At least we get a little bit of a firework display, right? That attack missile is going to clear easily, reaching into the rear. So there's 3 T2 engineers, and they are not building TMD. Why, I could not tell you. It looks like, though, that will be built in time to prevent the next missile. So Farms is going to be about in the spot where he needs to get out of dodge. He's got a destroyer on him. T2 torpedo bombers reaching out to try to kill that before it can damage the ACU too much. Of course, he could also attack missile it since the destroyer is sitting still. He is going to start running a little bit further back. Air control now firmly in the hands of the south side, thanks to the massive amount of assistance and the 3 extra air factories down here. those torpedo bombers are going to make a huge difference. There's not a single cruiser out as of yet. There's destroyers queued in the factories. The Chief Jaguar is going for a T2 naval factory as well. Keys are calling out, I don't have air. This is a little bit of a swing. I'm going to have to retreat with the Navy in order to not lose anything. Jaguar, dangerously low on health, has been dueling at the front. T2 gun versus a T2, and unless he can stop that ACU, he is going to get nailed. He's got to trip up the pathfinding. Come on. Just, no. Jaguar just stopped moving. He's accepting his fate. And there goes Jaguar. Not a good sign. Not a good sign at all. The GG is thrown out. Eco Noob is going to be the winner on that one. Jaguar's base goes poof along with all of his units, and Keezer's going to have to get on it to reclaim all that, get it reestablished, and in the meantime, the south side is going to be able to expand. I really thought that the north side was better off than this, but the comeback is real. That extra economy just seriously undermined the North's effort. When you've got more mass, even if you fall back just a little bit in the early game, as long as you don't topple completely, as long as you don't totally lose all of your build power, that extra mass income is going to let you overwhelm your opponents a little bit later on. And right now, that is exactly what is happening. The Tort Bombers are going to save this Navy, I think. There is a cruiser out, which might be able to do a little bit to help, but the air loss is brutal. There's definitely enough frigates there to deny all of the artillery that's coming in, so I don't think there's any worries there. He's just got to get a handle on this midsection. Unicorn Noob doing relatively well for himself over on this side. He was able to deny this, of course, with the help of the gunships from a Chief Jaguar. He's got his economy well in hand. He is having a little bit of a power problem. I think that is a sign of a power stall, but no, he's got gunships on him now. The overwhelming air advantage coming from farms is going to start killing this commander. He also got arty dropped, which is where a lot of his eco is disappearing to. We've got the T2 mass extractors that were killed up here by the TAC missile, and now the artillery attacks are continuing. Unicorn Noob down at about half health. Still trying to build T1 mobile anti-air and T1 stationary anti-air just to try and get a handle on these gunships. But the gunships, they just keep coming. Collision in the middle once again as Keezer attempts to move in and save this production over here. He is not going to be successful, and T2 tanks move in from the left now that Eco Noob is free to put his mass where he wants to instead of having to fight a Chief Jaguar on a focused front. Keezer is going to get triple teamed right here, and that is going to decimate his naval numbers. There is still a cruiser alive, so all hope is not lost, but currently the build power is disappearing at a horrifying rate due to the T2 gunships just raiding all over this map. Oh, I would hate to be Unicorn Noob right now because he is getting beat up three ways. This is turning into a bad situation on the north side. I thought that they might be able to secure it with the sheer number of units that Keezer had and with the reclaim that he was going to get, getting all of this underway, but I just think it's going to be too difficult to overcome this advantage that the south side has, not losing that base. We've got T2 artillery drops now. Those are probably going to land right up here and shut down any attempt by Keezer to re-secure this. He did get another destroyer up to the front line. It is coming in from the rear, and the one that he has is not dead yet. There goes the cruiser, so the air is now going to be a serious problem. Blast Shield moving up to the front, probably in an attempt to overcharge some of this Navy. Keezer very close to breaking into the center bay, but he is going to get repelled at the last second. Might try for another push now that he has two destroyers, but the sheer number of Zooies here is disheartening to see when you're trying to get in and kill build power. More units coming from this side, and Keezer is out. What was that? That may have been a snipe, or it may have been ground fire from the artillery. May have been Control K. Probably a Control K. Holy cow, there is the other Control K, and that is going to be the end of that. Keyser failed in that push and just called it out as a loss. That is a fast and furious game. Give me a little practice ad-lib in there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I'm going to shut this one down, reset a couple of things, and we'll be back in a bit, hopefully for the finals match. This is one of those replays that's well worth watching if you need a build order for a certain map. When you have players of this rank competing and doing things like this, you're going to want to copy some of this, some of these build orders. Alrighty guys, I'm going to cut out. I will be right back.